Hey everybody, this is Kaylin from Producer Dudes. I'm one half of the Producer Dudes. Eric is busy having a baby right now, so he's a little bit tied up. And also, we just had some kind of crazy news in the gear world that came out this morning that Gibson Guitars has acquired Mesa Boogie amplifiers. It's a crazy thing to think about in the gear world because, like, what does this mean? Like, what does that mean as far as like Gibson as a company, Mesa as a company, them working together? What does this mean for both parties? You know, you see online, you see a bunch of craziness. You see a bunch of people trash talking Gibson, saying that it's going to be the end of Mesa. Mesa no longer is going to be a valid, quality controlled amplifier manufacturer. That's what you're seeing a lot of online. I'm nobody. I'm just one guy's opinion. I do love Mesa Boogie amplifiers. You know, I wheeled these into my incomplete studio that I'm working on, just to have more of a backdrop than anything. But I have played Mesa Boogie for many years. It's a brand that I grew up loving, and I really trust when it comes to quality control. I trust when it comes to tone. All those things. You know, there's a lot of guys that have their differing opinions about different amplifier companies, but I don't know. It's been one of the few brands I've stayed loyal with over the years, and I really just enjoy playing, and I enjoy the whole aesthetic of it. I don't know. They make great amps, and I'm stoked to be able to still play them. My first like real amp was back when I was like 17 or 18. I got I think it was a 2004 Mesa Boogie 3-channel triple rectifier. Don't have that one anymore. Still wish I did. You know, I sold it like an idiot back in the day, but that's fine. I have a Triple Crown 100 here that I really, really like. It's a great amp, and I plan to hang on to it for quite some time. All right, so what do we know? What's the actual truth as far as what we know about this versus just conjecture and assumption that's online? I would say there's a couple things. We've heard that Mesa is going to be left alone as far as Mesa Boogie is concerned. At least that's the vibe that is given off. I know Fluff, who is, you probably know him if you're watching my channel, but he is big into all things guitar tone. He has played rectifiers and just Mesa stuff for years. He's a Mesa artist, and he said to his knowledge, Mesa Boogie's being left alone, and they're owned by Gibson, but they're gonna kind of business as usual as far as I can tell, and what has been kind of given off. So that's a cool thing. And like, why would Mesa go this route? Why would Mesa partner with Gibson or allow Gibson to purchase them? There's a couple things. Randall Smith is not getting any younger. He's getting up there in age. He's, I think, 75, and he's been running Mesa for over 50 years. I know that, it kind of, as people age, we don't know Mesa. We don't know a lot of guitar, more current, I say current, like 60s, 70s, and later. A lot of the guitar companies, amp manufacturers that have stayed around, especially like in the boutique world, Mike Sodano is another example. A lot of the guys who started those companies are still with them and are still have the notoriety. We're only progressing in time. People are only getting older, and there will come a day where sadly, Randall will pass away and Mesa Boogie will continue without him. And there's people that have been with the company for 30 or 40 years that they said that is going to stay with them, and they want to look towards Mesa's future and how that looks. And people don't live forever, so they have to kind of set themselves up for the future, even past their life. And I think that's one thing Randall is doing. I think he's looking towards the future and knowing that he's not going to be around, and who is going to take Mesa into the next era. I think that's a big thing that for people who aren't in that situation, they have this view of Randall is, he's always going to be around, and be making amplifiers. The dude's in the 70s, he's well past thinking about getting his affairs in order and how that's going to look. Don't want to get morbid or sad about that, but that's something that needs to be considered in this. And also, if he's looking towards expanding Mesa's market and wanting the company to flourish versus stay stagnant or even decline in this market that they're in. There's more competitors every day. When they started, he is looked as the inventor of high gain in a lot of ways with the original Mark I that mod at Princeton that he made back in the day that Carlos Santana played. That kind of got his start. There's a bunch of new brands that are coming up since then, and the competition is more stiff. And Mesa as a brand, there's a couple things that have always been the case. They've always stayed USA manufactured. They don't go overseas, at least up until this point. They make everything kind of in-house. They're a very tried and true brand, but technologically, that's kind of, as their expansion, innovation in terms of technology, that's something that they really haven't done a ton of because they just kind of stayed into the tried and true tube stuff, which is great. They've done like cab like that, and obviously the power soak, continuation stuff. It's not to say they haven't expanded ideas or concepts, but in comparison to other amplifier companies, they're a little bit slower to change for innovation's sake. And I feel like in the guitar community, you can be celebrated for that and also criticized at the same time. So it's hard for them probably to think, okay, well, we want to progress and evolve, but a lot of our customers wants to stay the same like we've always been. So it's like, do you force yourself to innovate at the expense of potentially losing your old crowd, but maybe gain new customers, or do you stay the same and just eventually wither away? Those are the questions that need to be asked. I think it's a great thing that Gibson has bought Mesa. I think it makes sense for them to move forward as a company. I think JC, who is in charge of, or at least the face of Gibson for what we know, I think there's a play authentic thing, which was obviously a misstep on their part, and I think they realized that. But I think they've done great things for Gibson in the few years that they've been with him. Like, people like to hate on Gibson, and it's fun to trash talk them, but honestly, they're gonna keep pressing forward. They're trying to do the right thing, and I know they're gonna keep trying until that public perception is changed. It's gonna take a lot of work still, but I think that opinion is slowly changing. It's fun to hate, like, oh, they suck so bad, but I sold guitars in the worst years of Gibson, I feel like, and I actually visited the Gibson factory in 2014. I've told this story before, whenever they were about to roll out 2015 line, which is the year where everything kind of went robot tuner thing. And they were trying to sell us on it as sitting in a room with the head of Gibson USA, them trying to demonstrate this for us and sell it to us. And man, we were kind of grilling them about, like, just as guitar sales associates, we're like, dude, how are we going to pitch this? Like, what, like all the logistics, like how are we going to maintain batteries in the stores for people to try it if they die? Like, how are we going to just maintain them and try to simply explain to customers that this is a thing that works when it's kind of spotty? And obviously we saw how we were very right in our skepticism. Obviously things have changed and are going. I think Gibson has made great strides to be a better company in the past few years with the change of leadership. For Mesa, I think what this means is Mesa will stay the same, hopefully. Complain like, oh, Mesa's just gonna get more expensive, oh, yada yada. I don't know. I think Mesa's price points, people complain about how expensive they are. Honestly, I think they have, if anything, they've maintained their price point respectively. Like, I think a few years ago, they were viewed maybe a little bit more expensive, but when you see a lot of the new and upcoming, more boutique brands, like, their prices are extremely competitive. I think the new Badlander in the low 2 range, for all that it offers, is a great amplifier and very competitive to its peers. And it's still 100% USA manufacturing, no import parts. And with all the things you get with, like, the cab clone built into it that you can add your own IRs to, it's not the old cab clone that I bought the day it came out and was very disappointed in. So there's a lot to be said for Mesa maintaining its status, and I think they know that if that changed, public opinion would kind of turn their backs on them. So I don't think, I mean, people who run these companies, they've definitely had their difficulty with Gibson, but they're turning Gibson around. Gibson, I know they did well this past year. They've done, and I think they'll only continue to do well. They're smart people. Like, I don't think they're stupid. I don't think they're looking to piss off the guitar market. They want to sell to you. They want to sell you gear. They want you to buy shit. They want you to buy more shit and then, keep making money off of you while making cool stuff. I know that's what they want to do. It comes back to money. They know the guitar market. They're not going to buy something if they don't believe in it. And they'll sell more if they create something of quality. And I think they want to maintain that quality with Mesa. I don't think that's going anywhere. I think the only addition is we'll probably see some Gibson, maybe amp reissues, like, Skylark stuff, like the old Gibson stuff. They might go through Mesa and build kind of their own revisions, or Gibson might expand into the amp market more via the avenue of Mesa and having kind of Randall and team head that up. And that's cool. I think, it's like their Gibson custom amp designs. I think that's what they label it as. And Mesa's going to be heading that division up as well, as doing kind of their own thing. And also, I think it makes sense for Mesa from a financial standpoint of distribution channels that Gibson has, which are significantly bigger than Mesa. Like, I worked for Guitar Center when Mesa went away from Guitar Center, and I think it was difficult for Mesa to maintain their amplifiers in that type of atmosphere because, they still function on a semi-boutique level. And a lot of people coming into Guitar Center, unless they're a seasoned player, they're not going to be coming in to custom build a Mesa or place an order for one or just buy one off. Mesa had the hard pricing minimums, meaning that Guitar Center couldn't offer any type of coupons or discounts on any of their gear. So they were kind of stuck at that point, and it was hard for us to sell them in that regard, unless somebody really appreciated the brand. Like just the normal average customer walking in, looking to buy a guitar amp without any prior knowledge to Mesa, it was harder to sell them on it. And like, why these amps? Why can't I use my 15% coupon on this amp? Why are they better? Not making that voice for any reason, but I do live down in Texas. So there's a local shop here that I love called Tone Shop. It's ex-GC guys. They do they're just an awesome independent shop in the Addison, Texas area. If you're in the area, they're up and coming, man. They had a trajectory to be everything Chicago Music Exchange is like 10, 15 years down the road. I think they're amazing. They're doing great stuff. They're doing it right. They're a Gibson dealer. Tommy, the guy who runs it, used to give me a hard time for being such a Mesa Boogie guy because, he kind of ragged on me because he's always been a Marshall guy, which is cool. But, for example, Tone Shop might be a Boogie dealer now because they were a Gibson dealer. So Gibson has that distribution channel. If Mesa is under Gibson, that might mean we see Mesa in more places, and that might be even being back in Guitar Center in some capacity. I don't know, but why wouldn't Mesa want their amps in front of more people? What does that mean? They're going to sell more amplifiers, and if Gibson is investing in them, they might have more financial resources to do more reissues that people might want, more signature amplifiers if that's something people want, just more funding. And I think Fluff did a live stream earlier today that I think made a good point. When Yamaha bought out Line 6 like 5-6 years ago, that was huge for Line 6, and it ultimately gave the funding for the Helix to exist, which has been, the front runner, if not, I don't know, as far as sales metrics, I'd imagine more Helixes have sold than Fractal or Kemper, probably several times over, just given the availability and the distribution that Yamaha and Line 6 were able to have. And you can't really think of Line 6 without mentioning the Helix, and it's crazy to think that potentially wouldn't have existed in the capacity that it does without Yamaha's financial backing. So to think about the positives for Mesa moving forward, like, does Mesa want to jump back, kind of tip their toe more into the digital market and try to find an audience there? I don't know. Like, they did a Triaxis years ago. Like, that was like rack gear. Is there a way that they could do like a updated tube version of that could be more competitive to things like Fractal and Line 6? I don't know. They might have the funding to try new things. And they also have maybe the funding to try new things and fail at them and learn from them. I think that's a positive thing. They may not be, every decision going forward is not going to be perfect. Some mistakes I'm sure are going to be made. But I think they have the ability to try to push Mesa into the next chapter. And Randall Smith obviously loves his company. I don't know the guy personally, never met him, but I can tell that there's a passion behind what he does. And I don't think he would put it in the hands of somebody who would run it into the ground. I don't think he's in the business of doing that. I don't think he wants that to happen. So he's covering probably every base that he can, and I'm excited to see what happens. I hope, the guitar community in general is always very reluctant to change. They hate change. They hate new things a lot of the time, especially more like purists or traditionalists. But I don't know. I would give them a shot. I would see what happens. And there's going to be those guys that like to hate, and that's fine. If they want to hate, that's fine. I want to be positive, and I choose to be excited about this and see what it means for my favorite amp company. I've always played Mesa stuff in conjunction with other amps. I'm not just strictly Mesa guy. I love other amplifier companies too. Even one of my bands, Ravenhill, were endorsed by Morgan, and I love those amps. I love a lot of different amps. I'm not that guy that's just gonna only play Mesa, but they're definitely my favorite. I know when I saw Brad Nelson, Linkin Park, play Dual Rec on I think it's either Conan O'Brien. It's one of those late night TV shows. I was like, dude, what's that sound? It sounds so good. When I saw him play Dual Rec, that stuck with me. Same thing with Marcos from POD. A lot of those bands in that genre, when I was just super young, I saw them on stages everywhere, and I was like, dude, that's what I want to play. And that made me want to be a part of playing guitar. So I'm forever going to be connected to the brand, and I will always support them, and I want the best for them. So if you stuck around for this entire rant, I don't know how long this is, but it's obviously way too long. I might cut it down. I don't know. Thanks for watching. Thanks for caring. If you're a fellow gear nerd, 2021, we're looking to ramp things back up for producer dudes. Me and Eric obviously have had a lot of life changes, and sadly, we had to prioritize things, and this got put on the back burner, but with hopes of picking it back up one day. Whether it's just me or both him and I, like in the future, I know he'll jump back on eventually. I'm just going to keep making stuff. I'm not going to really care about like super high production value. I want it to be just quality stuff. To me, this is interesting to talk about, and I just want to give my 2 cents for anybody who cares. And let's talk about it. Make a comment below. What do you think about it? And I'd love to hear your opinions. But have a great day. Thanks for watching.